goldfish, granola bar. I'll go to the bread store tomorrow. Science was kind of interesting. But typically, I just do my...
That's good because that costs more.
Shower poofs are like 99 cents, right? I'm going to buy you one. I'm just going to buy you one, okay?
That's good.
Strawberry applesauce.
Yes,
All right,
strawberry applesauce.
You're funny, because I buy you regular applesauce that also has cinnamon in it, or... There you go. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Hey, who are we here for?
Michael.
That's happening. And they love receipts too. That's why I'm going to that thing on Friday.
Okay. Let's start with batteries. Let's see if it just needs new batteries, okay? It's on occasion. There you go, Chief. My name is Bill Wyatt. I've been with Sunrise Community Living since, I believe, June of 2019, I think it was. I ran their initial flagship home for about 3 years, and then they opened up a second house, Lighthouse, and I managed that house for 3.5 years until they opened up this new house back in June. And so I've been managing this house since June of 2024. I've been not in this field as with group home, but I've been working with these individuals with this population since about 1993. Started out driving MuniLift, which is now Anchorage. And from there I started working for Assets. From Assets, I started getting into the school district from shadowing one of the individuals that I had. And I decided I liked the classroom setting, changed what I was doing in school, and then I continued doing day-hab for Assets, and in 1999 I was hired by the school district, and then for the next 19 years I worked for the school district. All the while I was still doing day-hab, worked with all the different outfits, worked with ARC, Hope, Focus. So I continued to do day-hab either during the summers, and it got to the point where I'd still do it during the winter. I'd get out of school and then I'd go pick up a client, and I would do day-hab during the week, during all year round. And then in it's either 2018 or 2017 when I started doing group home. And after a couple of years of doing group home, that's when I switched over to Sunrise. And I've been with Sunrise ever since. So I've been in one shape or form. I've been doing this for well over 30 years. In the past, I volunteered for Special Olympics, where I've been either a coach or I've been one of the partners. Sometimes I was wearing both hats, where I was a partner and a coach at the same time, depending on what the sport was. When I first started coaching, one of my day-hab clients I brought in with me, and he became my assistant coach. And what I understand, he was the first participant that turned into a coach. And so I had a special needs assistant coach. That was pretty special. We did that for about 3 years together. The majority of these individuals that come in, they've lived their whole lives being told what they can and can't do, how to do it, and they have no control. And I try to empower them and give them as much control as I possibly can give them, where they're still safe and that they feel safe. And be that the toothbrushing or the bathing. They need to bathe and they need to brush their teeth. But if they want to, ultimately they skip one. They skip it. I can only go do so much. I can prompt and prompt and prompt. However, that said, my goal is to empower them and have them be independent individuals, and have choices, have free choice, and be able to do these things. Now, lots of times I may kind of skew the choices where all the choices are going to be healthy choices, but I'm still letting them make those choices, whether it's a water or an unsweetened tea. They're getting to choose, and they're making that choice. I may have directed them to go to the Subway or Firehouse or something where they're gonna get a sandwich or a salad as opposed to burgers and fries, but they're still getting to choose what they get while they're there. And that's huge because they're in control of that. And they normally don't have these options and these opportunities to be in control. And even at dinner, I've got one guy here at this house. He loves jalapenos. The other guy's not so much, or at all. But he's always right on me. Make sure I got those jalapenos. Oh, not a problem. I hook him up. He gets jalapenos on everything, whether it's pizza or the pasta I'm making tonight. His bowl is going to have a bunch of jalapenos in it, and he's happy. He might not be the one that's making the food. he's getting exactly what he wants. They're completely different. It's like my two children. One's a boy, one's a girl, but they're different not just because of their sexes, different because they're individual human beings. And all the guys in this house are completely different. And I have to treat them different. I still treat them with respect and I still expect things from them, but I have to talk to them different and do things different with them just to get them to be motivated, to feel motivated, to want to do something. Again, the way I talk to one guy is not going to work with how I talk to the other. Every single one of them are different, just like every one of you are different. Different days, there are different things that put a smile on my face. And one day, it could be somebody's got a light bulb that goes off and they're finally getting something. Like I'll show them the same thing over and over and over. And then finally, one day, I'm not showing them anymore. They're doing it on their own. And that's very rewarding. I had a guy that I did dayhab with several years ago. It was more of an in-home support, I guess, than it was dayhab. I would go over, this guy had his own apartment, had a couple cats, and he had a job. He'd get on the People Mover every day. He'd go to work and he'd ride the bus back home. He had Down syndrome and he wanted to learn how to cook better. That was primarily what my role was. So I'd show up, we'd get in the vehicle, we'd go to the grocery store. He'd tell me what it was he wanted to make and work on. So we'd shop for those things. We'd go back to the house and I'd help teach him how to make that particular meal. And I would help him rearrange the dishwasher better so it was more efficient. And the next time I went to the house, he was working the dishwasher the way I had shown him. And he was so thankful. He said, "Oh, this is a lot better, Bill. Works way better. The dishes are much cleaner." But the meals, he made the meal for me one night. I thought I was going to show up and we were going to go do something. And he invited me over because he had made a meal. And he wanted to share the meal with me, that was huge. But that's it. I mean, that guy, he was living the dream. And that's what I want for these guys, that one day they can hopefully do that.
Hi, my name is Jamie Bowden, and I am the owner and administrator of Sunrise Community Living, and we provide services for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Bill started with Sunrise Community Living back in July of 2019, and he came on. He'd had a depth of experience before coming to us. He was working out in Eagle River with another group. His long list of resumes made him stand out when he applied for our position. Since coming on, he has transitioned into being a leader of our direct support community. He helps mentor and role model and provide some advocacy for all of our clients in his role as a DSP. So Bill goes above and beyond daily. He continues to provide support. Say I have a staff that calls out, Bill is always first to provide assistance and say, "Hey, I'll step up. I'll be wherever you need me. What can I do to help out?" For all of our clients or risers, he is one of them that they can always go to with questions. He allows them to be a sounding board for any of their issues, and being a strong male role model is often super helpful as we have group homes that focus on the male population. Bill always steps up in that capacity as well. As far as leadership and stepping up, so he came in just as that person that was going to be the DSP, but it has grown to where anytime I train new in-home staff, they are going to his residents first. He is going through all of our policies and procedures, making sure they're followed. He makes sure I'm going to show them all the systems. I'm going to make sure I walk them through how to give medications or assist with that as self-administration of medication. He is always finding a new way to step up to that plate. And then when I have my out-of-home team come in, he often does a really solid pass of information. So when they're doing dayhab, for example, he will say one individual has to go to the library today and he has a book that he needs to return, and he makes sure that staff are very clear on things that are needed to be accomplished while still being person-centered and making sure that all sides are covered and communicating that with everybody. Other ways Bill has stepped up, he has taken that role as far as like an in-home to show healthy eating and healthy living. When he first came, he was starting to get into cooking and it was kind of his passion project. And now it's anytime guys have healthy eating goals, he can show new and inventive ways to accomplish that, and it's not boring or the standard typical thing. So he's just always finding something different to step up in. I think that sometimes when people move into group home, they get this feeling that everybody is going to be doing walk, step, everything. I'm going to tell you how to run your life, and that's not the case. And that's a model that he for sure helps us perpetuate, that that's not what group home is. Group home is very individualized. It's almost like having, like you said, your own apartment, your own space. We also have the goal of working with roommates and being collaborative. Whether it's a guardian or your goal is to live on your own someday, you're still going to have people that you're going to have to communicate with and work with, and he wants to reinforce that. He has this way of working with our clients in which they get to make the decisions and choices. So everybody that is in the waiver program comes with goals. Like they're in here to become more independent in their living or more independent on the community. And for Bill, he says, okay, if your goal is to have good hygiene and brush your teeth, I'm going to make sure I help get you there. But at the same time, he empowers them to have that ownership of today, I decided not to brush my teeth. And he allows them that freedom of movement to do that and to grow as an individual. He also offers support as they're going through it. So as they're growing, they might need a lot of support initially to accomplish that. And then as they get more secure in that goal, he might not have to remind them, and he's stepping up and saying, hey, that's not their goal anymore. They don't need to do that. Very similar into working goals, he makes sure he advocates and has that genuineness to each person. It's not one size fits all. It's not everybody wakes up and has breakfast at this time. You must eat lunch at this time. You must eat dinner at this time. It's, maybe one individual is a morning person. He makes sure that they're up and they've got breakfast and they have all the supports they need. Same thing, if somebody's a night owl, he makes sure to have, things ready or available in the fridge and has that touch point where he knows the person and provides support based on that versus everybody gets the same result. Everybody understands they're no different than you or I, and so having this expectation that they must be talked to differently or incorporated differently into life, that's not reality. They don't need kid gloves, they need to be a person, and he treats everybody like they're a person and makes sure that at their level they've got all the tools to be successful. And back to that, not one size fits all. So that's his quality. Not one size fits all, is genuineness, and he advocates and cares.
My name's Jim Sumi. I've been working with William Wyatt for the past, 3.5 years. And we basically do the same job. He would be the weekday person, I would be the weekend person. And we were basically a team with working with my guys over the lighthouse. So what do we do? It's an exciting question. Well, we're direct support professionals. And that means that we help our gentlemen out with having fulfilling lives, like either going to school, working, or both, doing sports, our own activities, and we juggle the schedule and make everything work. Everybody that we're working with here is going to be a different game plan. I like to put it this way. There's 8 billion people on this planet and everybody thinks differently. And there's a different approach towards everybody. You're going to be working with them as a different story. And it's an interesting story. It's going to be a funny story. It's going to be frustrating. And you are going to have to deal with the very worst parts and the very best parts of it. And you need to learn how to be unflappable. But you're human and you have to understand we all make mistakes. But with Bill, just with how he taught, that there are so many different angles that you have to deal with everybody individually. It's so important to look at it as a different story. His impact, well, he helps young men out in their lives to be successful adults. And we always have a goal towards being as independent as we possibly can, whether you're living in a group home or on your own, or if you move on. You have to stick to it. Like I said earlier, understand that failure is part of learning. You have to make the attempt and always trying. That's absolutely what he does. He is a coach in terms of what he does with these young men's life. And he respects them and wants them to succeed.
My name is Lubava. I've been with Sunrise Community Living for about a year. My role here is direct support professional, and I primarily do day hab, supportive employment, and supportive living. Otherwise, I do quite a few admin tasks, like working on the schedule, also working on plan of care and networking a little bit, talking to a variety of people. When I first started with Sunrise, I had the pleasure with working with Bill quite a bit. He was my very first trainer. I understood that Bill has been in this business for a very long time, and it shows. He was able to tell me a lot of his stories and personal experiences that he's learned, and overall his attitude is very magnetic. He has a very good attitude in the sense that it's very positive, but it's also very realistic, and I enjoy that. So he trained me, on daily activities and daily living, but also what goes on in the group home and the daily life within the group home, and then also seeing what our individuals do in their daily lives and how all of them are different, but also how they all flow and function together as roommates. He's very passionate and he's hardworking. He's very reliable. You know that you can always count on him. Whether it's just him as a friend or him as a coworker, a person to look up to as a mentor, a person to ask for advice or feedback. If you're having a bad day, you know, you can call him and get his 2 cents on the situation. He has a lot of knowledge and a lot of experiences that are super valuable. And again, it's not something that when you meet him, it's not like he's like, I'm amazing and I'm all this. It's just who he naturally is as a character and the way that he treats people around him in the situations that he's in. He handles them very well and he treats everyone with respect and kindness. He is a very strong figure and it shows with how he interacts with either staff or clients, but also his body language and his overall demeanor. You just feel very safe. I also think that when it comes for our individuals, again, having a person that is, you know, strong, reliable, and provides honest feedback and gives it to you straight, it's really important, especially for men, for guys to have a strong male figure to look up to. If I was in their shoes and I required assistance, I would want to have a strong female character to look up to. So having Bill there, I know for a fact makes a huge difference. And the fact that he's a coach and, you know, has had all these cool experiences in his lifetime that he can share, I think just promotes their independence even further, of just having a strong role model, you know, what to be, or, you know, at least have some of Bill's attributes go on to them.
I'm Brandon Bowden. I am one of the founders of Sunrise Community Living along with my wife Jamie. We founded Sunrise back in 2017. We saw a need for care for adults with special needs in the Anchorage area and just kind of dived right into it. We started out originally working 2 12-hour shifts, and we met Bill through a friend, and he had told us that Bill was working a 24-hour live-in shift and might just give us some advice about what that was like and some things we want to look at. This was before he even came to work for Sunrise Community Living, and I was gracious enough to take the time to sit down and have lunch with us and explain a little bit about that process and what he thought of that shift schedule. And then we ultimately did decide to transition and work that same shift schedule. And so at this point, I think Sunrise had been around for about a year, and when we put the job out for hire, we told Bill about it, and he instantly said he wanted to come be a part of Sunrise. So applied, was hired, and came to work for us. He's been with us ever since the beginning. He started out as just a DSP doing in-home live-in work. Now he's gotten to that point where he's our go-to guy at Sunrise Community Living to train new staff members when they come in. Holds that senior DSP role we look to for guidance a lot when we're trying to figure out what the right answers are for in-home care. I think that he is a strong male figure for the individuals we work with. All of our group homes are all male homes. Having Bill in the home gives that presence to those guys, someone to look up to, someone to act as a mentor. I guess you could even say he's a unicorn of sorts. There tends to be a lot more female caregivers in this community than there are male caregivers, so having Bill as someone who can come in and set that example for these guys is really important. I think it's his patience. He just brings a level of calmness to each situation, how stressful it can be, you know, and when you're dealing with 4 different individuals in one home at any given time, he provides that individualized care to each one of them and meets them where they need, not just uses a one-for-all approach. Bill and I also have a passion for hockey, so usually when I come in, it's just great to see Bill, to catch up with him, to talk about hockey a little bit. He's got 2 kids that he spends an incredible amount of time with and loves to get out and watch their hockey, support them. One's off at college now and has gone through that whole pipeline since working with us. I got to watch him grow up as a hockey player and then end up out in junior hockey and then off to college. Now he's got a daughter who's, you know, still also involved in hockey, and that's fun to link in with Bill and talk about. You know, we have to remember about individuals who do what Bill does is he lives away from his family a lot of the time. He's, you know, akin to that slope worker lifestyle. With Sunrise Community Living, our live-in shifts are a little shorter. They're 3 days on or 4 days on, but still, you know, roughly 50% of the time Bill's working at Sunrise and the other half the time he's off with his family. So making sure that he has that opportunity to reconnect with them has always been important to us. When Bill first came to work for us, he worked at another house where he worked a 5-day-a-week schedule. And so he kind of just looked at it like, I have a weekend relief, like I get the weekend off. And we approached him with the plan to pay him just as much money and have him get 4 days instead. And said, hey, how would you like that? And his first response was, I would really like that because my men's league hockey games are on Friday night. And oftentimes, like, I couldn't go because there was nobody to come in and provide relief. I work this schedule, I get off on Thursday nights, and now I can go have a weekend where I get to play hockey or go to hockey games, see the kids play. That was really good to know that, like, we'll change things for him. He gives us a ton of support, and so anytime you can find just something easy like that to shift where you're like, hey, if you communicate with us and you tell us about what you need, we can maybe work with you. And that one worked out really well. It's funny, I worked at different points like in sales. Ultimately, sales boil down to is creating a connection with somebody and figuring out what somebody needs and being able to provide that. And what Bill has to do is figure out what each of these people need and then be able to provide it to them. And that may change from time of day to the day to week. And so I see him use a technique in sales that you'd call question-based selling, where he just asks them, hey, is it almost time to go get ready to go? Or were you thinking about doing laundry today? I think Tuesday was the day you said you were going to do laundry, because nobody wants to live with somebody who tells them what to do all the time. Part of Bill's job is to force these guys to work on certain goals. He's got a unique way of bringing up that goal without making it, a confrontational scenario. It's fun to see. Like if you were in the house, you definitely got to see it. Bill is an incredible cook. He is the master of the Instant Pot. You come into that house and it smells like something delicious. They're like, Bill, what are you making? And it's just no big deal. Like, oh, I just put some stuff into the Instant Pot that we're gonna have for dinner, and it smells like, kind of roast dinner that you're like, can we start now? When you say we are gonna have for dinner, am I invited too? He's a super active guy. He's at the house, you can see he takes the time to get exercise into his life. He encourages those around him to get exercise. When he's not there, he's doing everything from riding his bike to going to work out to getting out on the ice and going to play hockey. So he keeps himself fit. At the same time, he doesn't do it all the time. Like there's a time and a place for everything. He's also good at getting those guys out to go, get some kind of snack or treat that wouldn't be considered healthy, but all things in moderation. Seeing Bill's resume spelled out is, amazing to see. You meet Bill, he's a nice guy, like you said, you don't even know he had a family. Put that back together, that he spends a lot of time at the home working, so you don't see that side of him. But when you get to see it on paper, like when we submitted Bill as an applicant for this, it's amazing to see how many years he has given back to this community. He is worked at every job you can think of in support of the DD community across Anchorage. I think that's what makes him so knowledgeable and so helpful, is that vast amount of experience that he's gotten along the way in different aspects, but also just he continues to stick with it. He's always ready to learn a little bit more, and there really couldn't be anybody more deserving of this acknowledgement of his great lifetime in this community than Bill.
What do you enjoy about living here?
Staff is always really pleasant, very, very supportive. If there's any problem that I could ever run into, Bill's always there for me. Speaking of him, I guess you could say he's another father figure. He's always been really, really good to me. I'm thankful for him.
How long have you lived in this house for, Alex?
For around March.
You enjoy living with Bill and working with Bill?
He's pretty cool. He makes delicious salads, we eat pizzas and go bowling with the groups, and it's a full blast.
Is there anything in particular that Bill has taught you?
He taught me to do the dishes and the laundry. He's been teaching me really well on that. I'm happy about that, in a way. Congratulations, Bill.
Bill, thank you so much for all you do for all of our clients. Our risers would not be where they are without you, and you make our organization that much more special. So thank you for everything you do from the bottom of our heart. You help make Sunrise an amazing place to grow and thrive. Thank you.
Congratulations, Bill. You deserve this. I'm very thankful to be working with you. Thanks to you, man. Woohoo! Go Sunrise and go you.
Congratulations, Bill. Thank you for everything that you do for Sunrise Community Living. Thank you for all the hard work and dedication you have to all of our clients. What you do is amazing to watch, and there's nobody more deserving of this recognition than you.
Congratulations, William. We love you.